I'm going to do something in Legacy of Phrecia event that I've never done before in Path of Exile. Hey, I'm Cyclon. Today I want to share with you my League Start plans, something you should be aware of at League Start, and my League Start build. Now I'm gonna start with the most important thing that I want to do its own video, but it wasn't really long enough for its own video, so I'm gonna put it here. Something you need to be aware of in Legacy of Phrecia event is that the way you're going to progress your early game is going to be different. We got accustomed to having the Atlas, and the Atlas has things like higher map tier, adjacent map node, and key missions. Those three modifiers is something we're likely not going to be seeing on the idols. Maybe we're going to be seeing them, maybe not, but we're not going to have a guaranteed way to get these modifiers early. This will result in our early progression being not that smooth. Now, instead of these modifiers, we're gonna have a guaranteed implicit that has increased amount of maps found in the area. Now, it looks, based on what we've seen, with a 2x2 having an 8% and a 1x1 having a 2%, that we're gonna have a total of, we have 32 spots, each spot is 2, so we have 64% increased maps found in the area at max level. Early on we have 20, so that is 20 spots, 20 times 2, that is 40. So we have a 40 to 62%, 64% increased maps found in the area. This is all we're going to be getting, meaning that our initial Atlas progression is not going to be guaranteed. We're going to need to get some luck to get higher map tier drop nodes, or just to get higher map tiers drop, not higher map tier drop nodes, and then we can progress. But on the other side, being in red maps, we don't need to wall our maps, because we don't need the Atlas points, we don't need the bonus completion. We will need it eventually, likely to unlock the layout 2 and layout 3 of the idle space. But other than that, we only need favorite slots to unlock the full idle tablet. But this will allow us to have a slower progression, but an overall easier progression, because we don't need to roll red maps, which is usually the point where things are gonna get hard for most builds. Just was what I wanted to mention. Now, what I'm going to be doing at League Start, I'm going to team up with 4 buddies. We're not going to be doing group play, we're going to be doing team play. This means everybody's playing their own build and doing their own content. We're just pooling our currency to get the builds running earlier and also get bigger items or maybe more expensive idols a little bit earlier, allowing us to be on the good farming strategies that we are assuming are good a little bit earlier. Now, what I personally will be doing, well, this is the one thing I've never done before. I'm going to League Start a Marauder. I've played a Marauder before, but not a League Start, so I drink leveled him. And I basically just had all the gear, I played the build, and then I moved on. Now, I'm going to be playing for likely the entire first week on a Marauder. Now, there is a reason for that. I have not played Zenith yet, and I think Zenith is one of the things that I need to play in 325 before I completely miss out of it and the skill is going to be nuked into oblivion. But I cannot League Start Zenith. The Ancestral Commander, however, has some very interesting stuff that I really want to play around with. And that is the Ancestral Endurance node, which is kind of a little bit hidden by me. Let me quickly disable the camera so you can see it. The +3 to maximum endurance charges. Normally we get like +1 from Ascensi, but now we have +3. This means 2 more than we can usually achieve. Now this allows us to grab consecrated passive endurance and gain another 20% more AoE than we usually can get with this. Now why this skill specifically? I looked at my end goal is Zenith. I need to have a smooth way in getting to Zenith. And the best way to play Marauder is Slam skills. And this Slam skill is special because it has massive AoE and massive more damage as a reward for having endurance charges. With their changes in 325 are very powerful, less damage taken, so they're super defensive, and here now we're turning them into offensive power as well. So we take consecrated passive endurance, we have more AoE, more damage up close, which are just several layers of more damage we have easy access to. We just need to solve a little bit of increase, get more damage from gems, and the helmet and Echoes of Eternity, Echoes of Creation and we have a very powerful build. But grabbing a little bit ahead. So Consecutive Force of Endurance is what I want to play in maps. Gonna have big AoE, and eventually I'm gonna transition out of it. Now I don't have any mapping footage. I actually haven't played it in maps yet, but I have watched a lot of videos, and one content creator that has covered this quite well is Mage Fist. You more likely have heard of him than from me. So I will link his video in the description, but based on what I assume this is gonna feel like in maps. But Dear Sensei has some other notes. On top of Ancestral Endurance, we have the Warcry, which we can automate with auto exertion. And then we have Warcry and cooldown recovery, so we're gonna have a lot of Warcries. Now this node, Call of the Ancestors, which I just noticed I'm also blocking, here you can see it now, is very powerful because of another node that we're gonna be grabbing, which is Admonisher. Admonisher gives increased Warcry speed, which counteracts the downside of the Sensi node, and increased damage for each time you've Warcried recently. With all this Warcry cooldown recovery and automating those, we're gonna be Warcried a lot recently, giving us all the increased damage we're gonna be needing early on, and later on we have other powerful sources, like again, Echoes of Creation. So we're gonna have a good increase modifier, a good more modifier with endurance charges. We then have absolute insane defenses with Ancestral Defiance. And the last node, we can have Toughened Skin, which I can't show without hiding the camera again. There. Toughened Skin, which makes us immune to freeze, immune to chilled ground, and armor from is doubled, armor from equipped body armor is doubled. Just gonna be a huge survivability layer as well again. So we have an absurd survivability package, and we have 3 more damage by utilizing the defensive well. So what can we do? We are going to be scaling, of course, endurance charges. In our early stage, which are going to have one expensive item because Echoes of Creation is a drop from Uber Shaper. It is going to be expensive early on and then will drop to almost no cost. So just be aware of this when starting any slam build. This item will be expensive early on, but it will be very powerful because it's just going to give you 50% more damage for each Warcry. We're going to use like 6 different Warcries for our skills. We're going to automate most of them, and we're just going to slam, and everything will die very easily. So we have more damage from Echoes of Creation, more damage from Consecrated Paths by having endurance charges, increased damage from Admonisher. We also gain incredibly easy access to crit multi with like the Staff Mastery, with Counter Raid, with using Hegemony's Era early. So we have a good amount of crit multi, we have a good amount of crit chance. We are Fist to Fire conversion, so we can use the Elemental Mastery, which should help with single target. Now we're not often hitting, so it's not as good as on something like Lightning Strike, but it's still overall very good to have. Over a big boss fight where we bonk them over and over, this is gonna be averaging a good amount of damage. And in terms of generating endurance charges, because we are an endurance charge build, we need to generate them in some way or form. There are 2 ways we're gonna be generating with. For one, we have endurance charge on melee stun on our consecrated path. And on the other thing, we gotta be using Enduring Composure. It's a small cluster node on armor clusters, and if you've been hit recently, you're gonna get Endurance Charge every second. So this means that all we need to do is stand in enemies. Oh hey, we have Ancestral Defiance, we have Endurance Charges after this. We're gonna survive the hits. We're gonna get hit a bunch of times. We generate our initial Endurance Charges. We can throw in an Enduring Cry, which we get from Chaos Sign. We hit enemies, we have Endurance Charge on melee stun, and suddenly we are on our Endurance Charge cap, and we do all the damage. So this is just gonna be massive damage, massive survivability on almost a shoestring budget. And if you really want to, and you're not gonna do like I'm gonna adjust Zenith, if you really want to push this higher, well, you could also just go for a high investment stage. You can get like Awakened support gems, 20 or 21 gems, and you could go for a mace instead of a staff with the enchant 50 45% of weapon physical damage is extra damage with each element. Now suddenly you have a lot of cold damage, a lot of lightning damage, and I've seen the Matrix variant use the leadership amulet, that you have the conflux, so you also apply brittle, you also apply scorch, and it's gonna be even more damage. However, again, I at that point wouldn't be playing with this anymore. I would have transitioned. But yeah, that has been my League Start plans, my League Start build. I'm gonna be very interested in playing a Marauder because again, I haven't done that before. It's gonna be interesting to play this way. But let me know, what will you be starting? What is your goal in the Legacy of Phrecia event, and what you are looking forward to? But maybe your idle strategy is that it's going to be absolutely busted if the right idle mods exist. All this being said, have a wonderful day, and I'll be seeing you in my next video. Goodbye.